Welcome back to another tutorial. In this tutorial, we will be looking at a checkpoint or a waypoint system. With this, we will be able to teleport between maps that the player has actually unlocked. So you can see once we click the checkpoint, it will allow us to unlock it and actually transfer between maps. It also has the logic to know if you're currently on the map that you're requesting to transfer to, or if you do not have a map unlocked. This can be useful so the player doesn't waste their items. So as you can see, I'm going to run to map 2. We're going to unlock the second checkpoint, and then we're going to try and teleport to map 1. And since we had map 1 unlocked, it allows us to transfer. And if we try to transfer to the same map, it allows us to transfer back. But if we try to teleport to the one that we're currently on, it will error out and tell us that we are already there. Alright, for this portion, we will be looking at the event for the checkpoint itself. First, we started off by just making a comment that says the player unlocked the campfire. Next, we made a if statement. So we went to conditional branch, switch, and then we made a switch named campfire, map 1, campfire 1. You can have multiple campfires on a single map, and that's why I put C1, just in case you as a developer want to put more than one campfire on a map. And then we just have it set to is on, so it will look like the comment, and then that, and then we did a show choice, which is found on page 1, show choices, and then for the show choice, we made save game, teleport, and cancel. So it looks exactly like this. Save game, teleport, cancel, and cancel on choice 3. That will automatically exit the event if the player clicks the cancel. So for the save game, we did another comment just so we kind of know what every little piece of our event does. For this, we just did save logic, and it asked the player with a simple text box, would you like to save? You can add a little bit more to this, saying that the save will replenish all of the party's stats or whatever else you want to give the player, maybe, or take some gold, whatever it may be. Would you like to save? And then we just show them a simple choice, show choices, same thing, yes, no, and cancel on choice 2, which is no. Now for the choice of yes, we made a comment, player has a save crystal. This is telling us that this code right here, we're checking if the player actually has the item that they need. So if the party has the save game crystal, so it'll look like this, it'll be a conditional branch, page 4, item, and then you'll have to create the item in the database, which I'll show in a second, save game crystal, and then create a else branch. So we'll jump out of this and go into the database for a quick second. We'll go to the item page, and all it is save game crystal, teleport crystal, and replenish crystal. They are all consumable. You can swap these to no, as the player will not be actually consuming these. They will be losing them when they actually go into the checkpoints. For the replenish crystal, you technically don't need this anymore, since we're really just using a save game crystal to replenish the player, and then we still need the teleport crystal. For the price, you can set the price to whatever you want. Maybe you want the player to actually buy these from a shop or earn them from a chest. The price is completely dependent on you, and the item type does not really matter either. So back to the campfire event where we left off. We left off on if the player has a save game crystal. So this automatically checks if the party has a crystal, just one. That's all they need to start this. And then we made another comment just letting us know what this is about to do. The comment restores party stats. So this is a recover all, which is found on page 1 under actor, and it is under recover all. This clears all states and fully recovers HP and MP. Again, a recover all. Comment, take the save crystal upon saving. So when the player actually selects yes, it checks if they actually have any. It recovers all their stats, then it takes a save crystal from the player, and it opens the save menu. For this portion, you don't really have to do anything. The game actually handles all the saving for you. Now, if they do exit out of this, since they did click yes and it did open the screen, it will still take their crystal. There are some workarounds to this, but we're really not going to worry about that. We can just kind of punish the player for choosing yes, honestly. And then if the party does not have the save crystal, we made a comment, player does not have save crystals. So we'll use a variable number 16. So we actually need to make this save crystals. Whoops, save crystals. Forgot to do this earlier. The save crystals is equal to the game data, which is the item, the number of the save game crystals. The reason we're changing this into a variable is so we can display it to the player. There is a script that you could do, but I'm not focused on scripting for my tutorials. So then we just display a text box. It appears that your party lacks a save crystal. You have \v open bracket 16 close bracket save crystals. So what this looks like to us is exactly what it shows, but to the player it will display the actual number of save crystals. It won't show any of the / open bracket or whatever else that we just put there, because it's calling the variable 16 itself. That's what the number 16 is within those brackets, and the V stands for variable, and the / is the call for that variable. So that will display to the player if they have 99. It'll say, hey, you have 99. Though this shouldn't appear unless the party has 0 crystals, and then we just have it exit the event process. So under no, so when the player chooses no, they don't want to save, it will automatically exit for us, and we don't have to do anything. Now, when the player selects teleport, we just make a comment, teleporting logic. A simple text box, would you like to teleport? Show choices, yes. And then under yes, another comment, player check for item to teleport. Again, this is the same thing as the save crystal. It's checking if the party has the teleport crystal. So under the conditional branch, the if statement, you will go to page 4, item, does the party have teleport crystal, and else branch. So if the party has the save crystal, the comment that we're leaving is open the event to the player for the input on map ID transfer. So what this is telling us is, hey, we're going to call this common event so the player can input a map ID that they want to transfer to. And then if they do not have the save crystal, it's the same, or if they do not have the teleport crystal, it's the same thing as the save crystal. It will just tell them, hey, you have this many and you don't actually have enough. We should probably make this a different one. We're going to copy and paste this. Actually, I forgot to do this earlier too. We'll just name that tele crystal. And then we want that to equal the teleport crystal. So that's how it will look. The player doesn't have the item to teleport. The teleport crystal is equal to the number of teleport crystals. And we will change this to teleport crystal. And then we also need to change that to teleport crystal. And we need to call variable 17 because that's what my variable was, at least. Control variable 17 is the teleport crystal. So we want to display that to the player. And then exit event process when they don't have enough. The no, it's still the same. When cancel, you don't have to do anything because it automatically cancels out of the event. Now down at the bottom under the else that you'll have, this is saying, hey, they unlocked the campfire. And this part is saying, hey, they haven't unlocked the campfire. What do I do? So we make a comment, player hasn't unlocked yet, setting the unlock logic. All you do is put a simple text box, checkpoint unlocked, a control switch that you'll create. Just under switches, campfire, like we talked about earlier, campfire map 1, campfire 1. And then you'll switch that to on. And then this will never run again unless for some reason you decide to put the campfire out on the player. After that, all of that event that we just went through will run every time the player clicks this. So now that event that we called earlier, transfer map set, we will look at and see what that does. So transfer map set, really simple. We'll make another comment. We'll set the comment to set player's map ID. So what this is telling us is that it's equaling the player's current map location or the map ID of the player. So the control variable, you will create a variable called player map ID and equal to the game data of map ID. So what this does is sets the player's map ID number to the map ID that they're currently on. So if you actually look right here, map 1, map 2, map 3, it's also located down here. You can see map 001 or map 1. And then this comment you'll make resets the map ID variable. So this is actually used to transfer the player. So when they go to input the number that they want to transfer to, we always want to set it back to 0. We don't have to, but it's just a good rule of thumb. So control variable, it doesn't have to be the same number as mine, but mine is number 9. Transfer map ID equals 0. You want to just reset that so every time the player goes to enter a map, let's say they're on map 50 and they wanted to go to map 1. You could set this to remember their choice to where this doesn't run. So if they're on map 50 and they want to transfer to map 49, it'd be a lot easier that way. I think you can also use the number pad to enter. I haven't actually tried that yet. I only use the arrow keys, to be honest. So then another comment, checks that portion runs once. I don't think you actually need this anymore. This was code from before. So this portion, select a map to transfer to. We will enter a new comment, gives player input option to choose map ID. So this will give the player the option to choose their map ID. We'll create a simple text box, select a map to transfer to, and then break line requires map ID. And then input number, depending how many maps you actually have, this will technically go up to 99 or the maximum of a 2-digit number. And then text, map ID entered. You don't have to have this. I was just using this for debug purposes to make sure that the map that I'm entering was actually appearing. So I was calling the variable before I transferred to make sure that it was correct. And then we call the common event transfer map finish. This calls this common event, and we will finish out our waypoint system. So this is the last common event that we'll need. I just named it transfer map finish. You'll make a comment named requested ID map ID to transfer to. So this is telling us that the player requested to go to this map ID. You'll make a conditional branch saying if the transfer map ID is 1, so if the player entered 1 on that previous input that we put here, so if they entered 1, make a comment under the if branch. So you'll do if conditional branch variable transfer map ID equals the constant of 1. Then you want to put this in the comment, checks if the player is on the same map as the request. So you want the if conditional branch again. If the transfer map ID is equal to the player map ID, then you'll make a text error. This is what the text will look like. Error, this backslash period just waits half a second, I believe. It appears you're requesting to transfer to the current map. Your requested map that you inputted would be variable 9, and the current map ID is variable 10. So this tells us that the player entered, let's say, map 1 for the requested map, and the current map that we're on is also 1. That's the only way that it would show the error if the player is on the same map. So in the event that they are requesting to go to the same map that they're currently on, we just send them back to the transfer map set. That's the previous event where they're able to input their map that they want to go to again. And we'll exit this event process so it doesn't keep running trying to transfer the player while they're trying to enter the new number. Under the else branch of this, we will, or actually this portion, so if the map ID isn't the same as the transfer ID, we will be entering map ID request not the same as the current map ID as a comment. The next comment checks if the player has unlocked the waypoint. We will make another conditional branch if campfire map 1 campfire 1 is on. So if the player has unlocked it, we'll make a comment. Player is going to teleport, take 1 from their items. So since we're about to transfer the player, we want to change items. This will be located under the first event page, change items. You will find the teleport crystal decrease by 1. I'm not going to do that since I already did that, but that's what it will look like after. And then you'll want to do a transfer player. You'll go to the second page under movement. You'll hit transfer player and select where you want to transfer the player around that campfire. You can really select anywhere on the map, but it would make the most sense to put them next to the campfire that you want them to teleport next to. After that, we'll exit the event process because, again, we don't want it to keep running after the player is already transferred. So we just looked at the map 1 and if it's the same and not the same. So now this says if the campfire is off, if the player has not unlocked this, we'll make a comment, checks if the player has unlocked the waypoint. And then we'll just make a text box appear. It appears you have not unlocked this waypoint. Now we could force the player to go back to the transfer map set, which we will actually make that. So we'll transfer them back to this so they can input the number, and we will exit the event process. Now that will exit this portion after it says, hey, you haven't unlocked it, and it will send them back to the input to enter another map. And then after that, so if map 1, under else, you'll put your map 2. So I just made the comment what the actual map name was, which is market ID. And this will follow the same exact thing as our previous map. It will say if transfer ID, so if the player entered map 2, it checks if the player has or is on the same map, and it does all the previous things as map 1. The only difference is you want to change the switches to the correct one. So if campfire map 2, campfire 1 is on, and then the transfer event will be slightly different. For the third map, it's the same exact thing as the previous two. You're just barely changing the variables or switches and the teleport location. Everything else still follows the same logic. So now let's test this really quick to see how it actually works in practice. We'll start a new game. I just set up this NPC on the right to actually give me the items so I could actually test it. So save game crystals, the replenish crystal you don't need again, and the teleport crystal. So now we'll go to this. It says checkpoint unlocked. We'll go to teleport. Would you like to teleport? Yes. And then it pops this up and we will enter 1. And then we will hit enter, and map ID entered is 1. It will error out because we're already on this map, as in the event that we showed. It says, hey, the player's already on this map. They shouldn't be transferring and requesting the same exact map. And then it sends them back to the map ID input. So now we'll put in 2. It'll say map ID entered is 2. It appears you haven't unlocked this waypoint yet, and it exits the event. So now we'll go to map 2. We will unlock this waypoint. Checkpoint unlocked. Teleport. Yes, we would like to teleport. Map ID 1. Map ID entered is 1, and it teleports us to number 1. And then we will check that we can actually transfer to map 2. Map ID 2 entered, and we can transfer. And then for this, we'll actually just go back to show this one portion of the recover all. This NPC just lowers my health. You don't have to have this. I was just doing this to make sure recover all was working properly. So I click him, lowers everybody to 1 HP, and then we go to this. Save crystal. Would you like to save? Yes. We will overwrite that, and I am back to full health and stats with no states. That is it for this tutorial. If you guys want any other tutorials or have any other suggestions, please leave a comment or shoot me a DM. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.